The clock above the friar blinked 11:42 p.m. Grease popped in the background. Lena Ward wiped her palms on her apron, ignoring the soft throb behind her eyes. The diner's neon "open" sign flickered above the door like a tired heartbeat. Another Tuesday night blurred by, spilled coffee and silent regulars. Before we dive deeper, tell us where you're watching from. It helps us know how far these stories reach. Her phone buzzed. She didn't want to check it, but her hand moved anyway. Harrison Lowe, private contact. I saw you walking to work this morning. The blue sweater suits you. Tight in all the right places. The screen dimmed before she could finish rereading it. Her stomach knotted. "Lena, order up!" Jimmy's voice barked from the kitchen. She nodded without replying. Her legs felt heavy as she moved toward the swinging door, but halfway there she froze, breath catching in her throat. She turned back, walked to the sink, took off her gloves, and stepped outside. Cold night air hit her lungs like ice. Her eyes scanned the parking lot. Empty. For now. She pulled her jacket tight, leaned against the brick wall, and stared into the dark. A siren echoed faintly downtown. Her breath fogged in front of her. Another buzz. Harrison Lowe. "Don't ignore me. We had an understanding." Her thumb hovered over block, but her body wouldn't follow through. She slipped the phone into her back pocket and stepped off the curb. Her hands trembled as she lit a cigarette she hadn't meant to quit. One inhale. Two. Then headlights cut through the lot. A black Mercedes. She didn't move. The car slowed near the curb. Tinted windows, no sound. Just a slow, creeping crawl like it knew her bones. Her heartbeat slammed. It paused 10 feet away. The driver's side window rolled down an inch. Then nothing. She turned back to the diner door, chest tight. The car didn't move. "Lena, brakes over!" Jimmy again, muffled behind the door. She yanked it open, let it swing hard behind her. Didn't look back. Inside, the warmth felt too sharp. Her phone buzzed one more time. She ignored it and returned to wiping counters, but her mind stayed outside with that car and that window. Jimmy glanced at her. "You good?" "Yeah," she muttered. He didn't believe her, but he nodded. At midnight, she signed out early. Told Jimmy she had a headache. Walked 3 blocks instead of 1 to get home. No cars followed her. No voices called out. But when she reached her door, something was there. An envelope, taped neatly to the center. Her name in cursive on the front. No stamp. No return address. She looked down the empty hallway, heart climbing into her throat. She unlocked the door slowly, stepped inside, locked it behind her. Then she opened it. Inside, a photo of her sitting at the courthouse steps, smiling, young, before everything. And one sentence, written in red ink. "Don't forget who made you." The first time Lena met him, she thought it was luck. It was 2 years ago. She was 17, standing in a cold courtroom, wearing her only black dress and shoes too tight at the toes. Her probation officer sat beside her, reading over the community service agreement she barely understood. Graffiti, vandalism, a mistake, she kept saying, but the system didn't care about reasons. Then he entered. Judge Harrison Lowe. Grey hair, calm voice, wedding ring. The courtroom changed when he spoke, like the walls leaned in to listen. Everyone did, and for a moment, so did she. He read her file silently, looked at her once, then again. His eyes didn't settle on her clothes or her record, just her. She couldn't explain it, but it felt like the kind of looking people usually hid. He tapped the folder. "This one," he said to the clerk. "Assign her to the courthouse mentorship initiative." She didn't know what that was. No one explained. But the next week, she showed up on the second floor, sat across from his desk, signed a paper, and he smiled like she'd done something brave. "You want out of this cycle, don't you?" he said gently. She nodded, unsure. "I believe in potential. I can help you, but you have to let me." That's how it began. At first, it was small, extra time at the courthouse, a few one-on-one check-ins. Coffee from his secretary, who never asked questions. He bought her a better pair of shoes, told her it was just professional encouragement. Then a dress, then a bracelet. "I see so much of my daughter in you," he once said. "You have a daughter?" she asked. His mouth twitched. Had. She didn't ask more. When the first message came late at night, she answered it. When the second one came, she smiled, because she thought it was special, thought she was different. She never told anyone about the night he kissed her in the empty courtroom, after hours, the doors locked. He told her, "No one can know, but I chose you. I trust you. That means something." And it had, until it didn't. Now, 2 years later, she stared at the photo in her hands, her own 17-year-old face smiling on the courthouse steps. Before the shoes, before the bracelet, before his voice carved into her like a second skin. She lit the corner of the photo over her stove burner, watched it curl into smoke. But she couldn't burn the memory, or the part of her that still listened for his texts. Her phone buzzed again. "Unknown number. I heard you're talking to someone. That would be a mistake." She didn't recognize the number, but she knew the voice behind the words. And she knew he wasn't the only one watching her. Was someone else trapped too, or already gone? The message didn't leave her mind, even after she powered off her phone, even after she took a scalding shower, even after she sat on her kitchen floor in a towel, shaking and unsure what part of her still belonged to her. The knock came at 3:12 a.m., 3 quick raps, then silence. She froze. Again. She reached the door slowly, barefoot, heart thudding behind her ribs. She didn't speak, just looked through the peephole. A girl, not much younger than her, maybe 17, hood up, eyes darting. Lena opened the door halfway. The girl's voice was dry. "Are you Lena?" She didn't answer. The girl stepped closer, pulling down her hood. "I'm Maya. I think we need to talk." They sat across from each other at the kitchen table. Maya wouldn't touch the tea Lena offered. "I found your name," Maya whispered, "on a list, hidden in his desk drawer, written beside mine." Lena stared, her breath caught. "He told me I was his first," Maya added. Lena looked down. "He told you that too?" Maya asked. Lena nodded once. Maya's hands were trembling as she pulled out her phone and showed Lena a photo. It was Harrison, shirtless, in a hotel mirror. Lena recognized the bracelet on his wrist, hers, the one he told her he wore for protection. "I think he's done this before," Maya said, "to more than us." "Why come to me?" "Because you didn't flinch when you saw his name." Lena swallowed hard. "I tried telling someone," Maya said. "My counselor. She asked if I was lying. Then I got suspended for bringing false claims." Lena leaned forward. "You're not lying." "I know." "But you're being watched." "I know that too." The silence between them was thick, heavy with shared shame. "He said he'd ruin me," Maya whispered. "Said he'd make it look like I seduced him, that I was unstable, that I'd cut myself before and he could prove it." Lena stood slowly, walked to the window. The same black Mercedes sat across the street. She closed the blinds with shaking hands. "He knows you're here." "I didn't tell anyone where I was going." Lena's voice dropped. "You didn't have to." Maya looked up. "What do we do?" "We don't run," Lena said, though every part of her wanted to. "We gather everything." Maya's voice cracked. "You think anyone will believe us?" "No," Lena said. "Not yet." "But we try anyway." Lena nodded. They sat in silence again. At 4:07 a.m., Maya left out the back entrance. Lena watched until the girl disappeared into the dark. She turned off the kitchen lights, heart racing, because for the first time in 2 years she didn't feel alone. But deep down, she knew something else. If Maya had been brave enough to come forward, who else never got the chance? By Friday, the messages stopped pretending to be subtle. Lena opened her locker at work and found a folded note inside. Her name written in block letters. Inside it read, "Your friend Maya talks too much. Don't make her mistake yours." She ripped it in half, then into quarters. Still, the words clung to her like smoke. She hadn't heard from Maya since Tuesday. 3 unanswered texts, 2 missed calls, then silence. Lena sat in the back booth during break, stirring cold coffee. Her reflection in the window looked older. Her manager's voice called her twice before she realized her shift was over. She walked home slower than usual, cutting through different streets, watching every passing car. Her apartment felt colder now. Her keys shook in her hand as she opened the door. She stopped. The chain lock she always set from the inside was undone. She stepped in carefully. Nothing looked stolen, but things were off. A drawer half open in the kitchen, her dresser slightly ajar, her framed photo with her mother turned face down on the desk. She didn't scream. She didn't call 911. Instead, she turned and locked the door. Double bolt, chain. Then sat down on the floor, phone in hand, fingers frozen over the number. It was time. She called him. "Detective Mercer?" a voice answered. "This is Lena Ward. I think something's happened to someone I know, and I think I'm next." Detective Cole Mercer was calm, but his eyes were sharp. He listened more than he spoke. And when Lena finished her story, some of it, not all, he didn't blink. "You're not the first girl to name Judge Harrison," he said. Her voice cracked. "But he's still out there." He nodded. "So far, none of the others had proof, and none of them survived long enough to matter." Lena's breath caught. "Do you know where Maya is?" she asked. "I've been trying to locate her for 48 hours. Her phone last pinged near Lake Ellison. Then it went dark." "She's in danger." "So are you." He pulled out a plain manila envelope. Inside were printed screenshots, camera footage. Her apartment hallway. 3:14 a.m., Thursday. A man, tall, hooded, gloves on, walking toward her door. "Police can't confirm identity, but I'm guessing you know who this is." Lena stared at the grainy image, the posture, the way the shoulders sloped. She nodded slowly. "I have a plan," Mercer said, "but you'll need to trust me." Lena whispered, "That's what he said too." He didn't flinch. "You're not alone anymore," he said. But when Lena returned home that night, something new waited on her doorstep. Maya's silver necklace, broken, blood on the clasp, tucked in a velvet box. Was this a warning or a goodbye? She sat in her living room, lights off, the velvet box untouched on the table. Maya's necklace still gleamed beneath the lamp, its clasp rusted with something she refused to call blood. Her phone vibrated again. Unknown number. You're not safe with him, but you're never safe without me." She didn't call Mercer. Not yet. She needed air. Slipping on her coat, she stepped out into the corridor. It was past midnight. The hallway buzzed with low fluorescent light. Every shadow moved too easily. She reached the stairwell, descended fast, head down. Outside, the streets were empty, cold. She walked 5 blocks without looking back. Her hands stayed buried in her sleeves, fingers curled around the voice recorder in her pocket. Earlier that day, Mercer had given her instructions. "Get him talking," he said. "You know how. You've done it before." She hated that he was right. She reached the edge of the courthouse parking lot. A black car idled under the far light. He was already waiting. She climbed into the passenger seat. Harrison didn't speak at first, just looked at her. "You look tired," he finally said. "You left something at my door." His face didn't change. "You shouldn't have involved anyone else, Lena." "I was scared." "You were chosen. That should have made you feel safe." She stared out the window. "Maya's gone." His jaw tensed. "She was unstable. You know that." "She trusted you." He leaned in, voice low. "They always do." Her stomach turned. She pressed the recorder in her pocket without letting him see. "You said I mattered," she whispered. "You did. You still do. But you're acting reckless. Dangerous." "I never wanted this." "But you liked the power, didn't you?" She didn't answer. He leaned back. "This ends tonight." Her voice shook. "Why does it have to end at all?" He turned to her, eyes softer now. "Because the version of you I cared about, the one who listened, who understood, she's already gone." She exhaled shakily. "So what happens now?" He reached for something under the seat. She moved faster. The pepper spray in her sleeve hit him directly in the eyes. He screamed, recoiling, the gun clattering to the floor. She dove out of the car, hit the pavement hard, ran toward the courthouse steps. A second figure appeared from behind the trees. Detective Mercer raised his weapon. "Hands where I can see them." But Harrison didn't stop. Blind, coughing, reaching. A single shot rang out. Then silence. Lena sank to the curb, breathing in gasps, watching the man who had rewritten her life lie bleeding beside the steps where he first noticed her. She looked up at Mercer, face pale. "It's over," he said. But she shook her head, tears falling. "No, it's not." Because one question still echoed louder than the gunshot. What did Harrison do with Maya's body? 3 days later, the press called it a tragedy. A respected judge shot dead outside the courthouse. A mentee caught in the crossfire of her own trauma. A decorated detective forced to act in self-defense. The headlines sanitized everything. Lena sat in the back row of the funeral, dressed in black, veil low. She wasn't there to grieve. She was there to listen. Murmurs around her. A heart attack would have been kinder. Poor man. He mentored so many. He saved my nephew from juvie. A real hero. The casket gleamed. No one said her name. That night, Mercer met her in the safe house. He placed a sealed folder on the table. "Autopsy confirms what we thought," he said. "Maya never made it out of that motel." Lena's throat closed. "You found her?" "We found where he kept her. For days, maybe longer." He hesitated. "We also found 2 other sets of prints. Female, young." Lena flinched. "How many more?" He didn't answer. She opened the folder. Inside were photos, burner phones, memory cards, handwritten notes, messages Harrison left for himself, journal entries. "You were his longest," Mercer said. 314 days. Her stomach turned. She flipped to the next page, her name next to phrases like compliant, retractable, dependent. Then Myers, reactive, risk. The last page listed dates, birthdays, check-ins, drop-offs. Most of the names were only first initials, but the pattern was clear. He'd done this for years. She looked up. Why didn't anyone stop him? Because predators like him don't wear ski masks. They wear robes, smile in courtrooms, donate to campaigns. Lena pressed her palms to her eyes. I feel like I'm still inside him. Mercer's voice softened. He's gone now. She shook her head. His lies aren't. They're everywhere. The next morning, the first girl came forward, then another, then a mother who remembered strange notes in her daughter's diary from 2019. Lena never spoke to the press, but her name became a warning, whispered in halls that used to echo with his praise. One article called her "The Girl Who Brought Down a Judge." She hated that title, because the truth was simpler. She hadn't destroyed him. He destroyed himself. She just stopped covering for him. Late one night, she returned home to find a letter slipped beneath her door. No name, no return address. Inside, a small Polaroid. Maya, smiling. Before. On the back, 4 words. I believed you too. Lena sat down on the floor, held the photo to her chest, and cried harder than she ever had. Because something had survived. But was survival ever going to feel like justice? 6 months later, Lena changed her name. Not to erase the past, but to stop being a headline. To stop strangers from recognizing her in checkout lines and asking brave, rehearsed questions with shaking hands. To stop seeing his name in every courtroom she passed. She lived in a quiet apartment now. No streetlights outside. No security cameras blinking like judgment. Just peace. But silence had its own echo. Some nights she'd wake up gasping. The scent of his cologne burned into her dreams. Other nights she'd hear Maya's laugh, just once, like it had found a way to crawl out of the grave and visit her in the dark. The cases kept coming. More victims, more files, but none with voices, just evidence. Hushed stories from sealed envelopes and anonymous calls. One day, Mercer handed her a USB drive. His private records, he said. Every journal entry, every video, every plan. She held it like a live wire. Why give this to me? Because no one else knows what it cost. She almost deleted it. Instead, she played one file. The judge in a hotel room, smiling, speaking softly to the camera. Every girl is a mirror. You just have to teach her which version of herself to love and which one to bury. She stopped the video. Then she did what no DA or detective had dared. She leaked it. To a journalist with no corporate leash. To a survivor-led blog. To a girl named Danny who'd once testified and been dismissed. It burned through the media like wildfire. The courtroom where he once sat now held hearings against the city for complicity. 3 staff members were arrested for helping cover up years of mentorship. Parents who once praised him now cried on camera. But none of it brought Maya back. Lena visited her grave once, left a small stone with both their initials carved into it. LWME. She didn't stay long, didn't say goodbye, because Maya never really left her. Not in the way the judge had tried to erase them. She stood in the wind, the city behind her, and for the first time didn't feel hunted, just tired, free, real. She pulled out her phone, typed the first line of a message she'd been afraid to send. "I'm ready to testify, not about what he did, but about what it took to live after." She hit send and smiled, just once. Because in the end, justice hadn't looked like a courtroom. It looked like telling the truth anyway, even when no one wanted it, even when it came too late, even when it bled. Because the truth didn't save her, but it stopped him from being anyone else's lie.